right off the cut, mixing a Barbarian and a full caster seems like, in general, a pretty bad idea, considering when you're in Rage, you're not allowed to cast spells or concentrate on spells, and you tend to want to focus on Strength instead of Dexterity, because that's how you take advantage of Reckless Attack, and the list goes on and on and on about why you would not want to make this combination. Except in one case, and that is the Bard-Barian, or the way that I like to think of it, and the way that even bards are described, is the Skald. So you're going to go with a very Viking kind of feel here. Now, I already have this kind of filled out, but it's going to require a lot of moving parts, and things kind of need to work out in a convenient way for you to make this happen. You're going to have a very mad being multiple attribute dependent class, because you're going to need Strength, you're going to need Constitution, you're going to need Charisma, you're going to need a little bit of Dexterity, and then realistically you can dump Intelligence and Wisdom, but it's still a lot of stat points. So let's go ahead and get started. The race that I really like for this is going to be a half-elf. And the reason I like half-elf is because you're going to get a +2 to one stat and +1 to two other stats. That's going to make rounding out our abilities a little bit easier. In this case, I like 2 to Strength, 1 to Charisma, 1 to Dexterity. All of this doesn't really matter. Pick them however you want. I like Acrobatics and Performance because it's going to help with our kind of grapple escapes from a Dexterity point of view, and Performance is just very bardy to me. After that, we are going to pick a Barbarian as our class. That one's straightforward. Now, here's where we get into stats, because we're going to need a lot of things, and this is where those multipliers are going to come into effect. So by putting 14 into Strength, assuming we're using Standard Array, that's going to start us off with 16 Strength. Putting 13 into Dexterity, +1 is going to start us off with 14. That's all the Dexterity we need for the rest of the campaign. Then we want to focus on getting our Charisma as high as possible. We're going to start at 15 +1. That gives us 16, which is a +3 modifier to our Charisma, which means that we're going to get our Bardic Inspiration 3 times per rest. And like I said, you can dump these. If you want to go point by, again, you want to focus on Strength, Constitution, and Charisma, and get your Dexterity to at least 14 once racials are applied. So you can optimize this a little bit more. And we're starting with the Barbarian to start off with the D12 hit die, because we're going to automatically start with the most health that way. If you're going to roll, well, this is kind of the template you're looking for. Our background doesn't matter. I picked Knight. It was just one of the ones off the cuff. And then for our starting wealth, the Barbarian does not start with particularly interesting equipment. We're going to need as much money as we can possibly get. So I really suggest going for starting wealth, and your goal is to get 65 gold however you can do it. The reason we want 65 is because we're going to use a war pick as our weapon. It is a D8 one-handed weapon, and it only costs 5 gold. We're going to need to buy a shield to get up our AC. That costs 10 gold, and then I would really like it if we could start with a chain shirt. The reason that we're going to start with a chain shirt is basically because it's the highest AC we can get without really breaking the bank. To go up to a breastplate or a half plate is going to cost hundreds upon hundreds of gold. Chain shirt only costs 50 gold. So 5, 10, 50, we're looking at 65 gold, but in a perfect world, you can buy the stuff you need. Because we're a Barbarian, we don't get spells, we don't get feats because we picked a half-elf as our starting class. I'm not writing a bio for this. So we can go to review. And basically, this is going to build it for us, and our level 1 character is going to look a lot like this. So we start off, assuming we get our chain shirt, with 17 AC. That will eventually go up to 19 at some point before we hit magic items. We're going to start with 13 hit points because we only have a +1 to our Constitution modifier, but we do start with the max of a D12 on there. Our war pick is going to have a +5 to hit, assuming that we use Strength. We're going to want to use Strength because that's what you need in order to proc Reckless Attack. And it's going to do 1d8 +3 damage. And then we can also tack on Rage. From here, we're done with Barbarian for a little bit. You are a functional level 1 Barbarian. You have 2 Rages. You're good to go. Level 1, pretty strong character. At level 2, we're going to take Bard for 3 levels. So you get all of the Bard goodies. I'm going to show you what that end game looks like. Pretty much what a level 4 character is, and talk about why we're going there. Okay, so leveling up, like I said, we're going to move to Bard for the next 3 levels, which means that we're going to pick up all of these goodies in here. We're going to get Bardic Inspiration, some spells, some cantrips, some proficiencies. We're going to get Jack of all trades. We're going to improve our healing on rest. We're going to get Magical Inspiration, and we're going to get expertise on a couple things. And for our college, we are going to take the College of Swords. And for our college, we are going to pick the College of Swords, which is going to give us, again, some more proficiencies, which we already picked up because we are a barbarian. We're going to pick up a fighting style, and we're going to pick up the Blade Flourish. Of our skill proficiencies, it's really nice to be able to pick up Perception in here because we got rid of that as a half-elf. If you decided to take that feature as a half-elf, you can kind of pick whatever you want. I'm going to pick Perception. And for your proficiencies, whatever loot. And for your tool proficiencies, whatever instrument you want. A loot is just kind of typical. Now, just from doing this, we get all of these kind of natural spellcasting things. Jack of all trades does apply to your initiative, which is pretty nice. We're also going to get Magical Inspiration, which basically, once we give someone our Bardic Inspiration, they're going to be able to improve their damage or healing, but we're going to be a little bit selfish with our Bardic Inspirations because it's going to be kind of a bit necessary for our scalding activities. You can pick up whatever expertise you like. I like Perception. Persuasion's a good one. You pick. Our fighting style, dueling really should be in here, so I'll toss that in later. And this is kind of what's going to make up all of the use of our Bardic Inspirations. We only get 3, and we're going to use them either to increase our AC or for little mini smites while we're at it. And then, you can move, but that's besides the point. Or our spells. Because barbarians cannot cast spells while raging and you can't concentrate on spells, we're going to need to focus on spells that have utility without concentration or can be cast before we enter our rage. Remember, entering rage is a bonus action, so we can cast a spell as an action first and then enter rage. So here are my recommendations. For your cantrips, really whatever you like. I like Prestidigitation and Minor Illusion, but really any of these will do. It's your pick. For our spells, we get to pick 6 once we hit level 3. I really think that Cure Wounds is going to be good for some out-of-combat healing. Color Spray is really nice as a burst of damage and some status effects before you get into your rage. Longstrider could be good if you need more speed. Featherfall is nice as a reaction. Heroism is a terrible pick because while it sounds good, it does in fact require concentration. Another set of really good spells is going to be Mirror Image. This is not concentration, and it's going to significantly increase our survivability as a barbarian, and it does not require concentration. Shatter is a really nice before you enter rage spell, and Blindness Deafness is a great debuff to apply, does not require concentration, and does not conflict with you entering rage. So you can blind someone or deafen someone before you enter rage and possibly save yourself a use of reckless attack that might endanger you later by blinding them before you get to them. I think these are kind of the best spells. Aid is really not a bad option. It kind of gives you and some other people a little bit more max HP. You could definitely do that instead of the Color Spray. But you're getting very heavy into second level spells. You could do it instead of Shatter if you want to rely on your Color Spray as kind of your damage dealing spell. Realistically, we're going to be in hand-to-hand combat for the majority of this. And this is what the end version of this build looks like. It's a low level build. It functions great from levels 1 all the way to 4. At 4 is when it comes online. And there's a couple of other paths that you can take here. You can either stay full Bard. You're going to end up as a 19th level Bard. You're going to get 9th level spells, all of that fun stuff. You're going to pick up extra attack at level 7 in this case. So you're going to be 2 levels behind in terms of maximizing your damage that way, which is why I think this isn't great to run as a full class all the way through. This is for like a low level build where you're doing, a level 4 or 5, maybe even 6 one-shot. If you are doing a level 6 one-shot, I recommend taking your next 2 levels in Barbarian, and you're going to go Totem, Bear Totem, resist all damage besides Psychic. You're going to be an absolute menace for your party to be rallying behind and just kind of up front soaking up damage with your 17 AC, your mirror images, your resistance to damage. It's going to be a really good way to go. You could take your next 2 levels in Bard if we're looking at a level 6 kind of area, but like I said, you won't have extra attack at that point, but you will have 3rd level spells, so it could be a good trade-off. And that's pretty much the build. Like I said, I wanted to do something a little bit different here. I know that most games exist under level 10, so I kind of wanted to give some builds that don't require you to go all the way up to level 20 in order to take full advantage of it. I think that if we do a couple of low-level builds, I have a few more in mind that I really like for low-level one-shots that you'll be, looking forward to coming out. Let me know if you like this new format where I don't kind of do all of the explaining, but where I kind of build the character with you. It's a lot easier for me, though I don't know if it's nearly as clear, so let me know what you think. Hope you guys have a great day. If you have any other suggestions or requests, leave them down in the comments. I will make sure that I can get to them as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching. Keep your dice on the table.